I'm here with Henry, who's the founder of Digital Contractors. I'm excited to get into this one. To start, Henry, can you tell us a little bit about your business, what you do, and who you serve?
Yes. Um, what we do is we work with like landscape, hardscape contractors. Pretty much we run Facebook ads and have like go high level on the back end to help with like automations, follow-ups, that type of thing. And yeah, that's the main thing we do.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess you were growing your business, you were having some operational issues, and when we first talked, you already had ClickUp in place. But what was your setup like at the time? What kind of things were you running into?
So I mainly used ClickUp back then, even though the goal was to use it for project management and like keeping track of clients. It was mainly like just a list with content ideas that never got done.
Yeah,
Yes, I mean, the goal was to use it as a real project management tool, but even though I had some things set up, like I had client lists to keep track of tasks, like it wasn't ever used. It was just kind of just there. But yeah, that's pretty much what it looked like.
so how were you actually then managing your day to day? Like, were you using a notebook or like what was kind of the approach?
I would just send text to my team on Slack
Okay.
and then ask them 2 hours later if they did it, and then again a day later if they did it.
So safe to
So
say you might have had a few things slip through the cracks.
pretty much, yeah. There was a lot of things that I wasn't sure if they were getting done, and also a lot of time wasted because, again, having to check in to see if something got done or having to go into an ad account or into a client account to see if something is there that should be there wastes a lot of time and energy, mainly because if you're an owner, you can't really be, I mean, you can, but you shouldn't be checking on those stuff because it just kind of cuts off your focus and your flow during the day.
Right. No, that makes sense. So you were picking up momentum. You started signing a bunch of new clients. I remember we had first talked initially, a few months prior, and then we talked a little bit about how to tailor ClickUp, and then you came back. You're like, "Hey, I really need help." So, kind of what was the difference between the first time we talked and then where you're like, "Hey, I need some systems in place. We're growing really fast." Like, what was kind of going through your head at that point?
So, like, I knew how to set ClickUp up. Well, I don't definitely didn't know as much as you did for me, like definitely, but
Yeah.
I knew a bit where I could have gotten it to work. That's like
Hmm.
somewhat.
Yeah.
But after we had that first call, you gave me some pointers, like some guidance on how I should be doing it, and it never actually got done just because it takes time, right? You gotta sit down there, you gotta plan, you gotta figure out really how you want it to look like and then do it. And I just didn't have the time to do that. And then I got to a point where, okay, I really need to be setting up ClickUp. Let's sit down and go through Amir's, like the recording of our call and do it. And I started looking at the call and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't have time for this. So I just messaged you say, hey, can you just do it for me?
That was your exact words. Like, can you just do this for me? I'm like, yeah, I probably
Yeah.
could. Let's take a look.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, working with you is also really interesting because, as some of you know, I also build automations for clients. And you'd already been building a ton of automations for yourself, right? So I think
Hmm.
this was unique where, you had some of that process systems thinking already, but then to you, you felt like you still wanted to bring someone in for both the time and also just the system. What was exactly kind of the reasoning besides time to bring me in?
Expertise. Like, sure, I could have blocked out however much time I was required for me to do the ClickUp on my own,
Hmm.
but I definitely would not have thought as far as you did while you built the ClickUp for me. Like you showed me like the whole blueprint you build, like this whole process or, what fields to have, like what spaces to create, like all this stuff that I definitely would have thought that far out. I would have just made some extra lists and called it a day. Again, just because of time, like it's not just time, it's just also just focus. I mean, just focus, right? So me having to focus on ClickUp is going to take away from focusing on sales, on marketing, on other operational fulfillment things I was working on at the time, and I just couldn't make the time for it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. You were doing really well with sales, bringing in a lot of new business, but I don't actually have time to build the plane while flying it, so to speak. I need
Yeah.
to actually take the time, stop, and have someone assess this, take a look, and see if we can make things a little bit better for you. And the other thing was also bringing in employees, right? Because at the time you only had one person. So it's really hard to delegate if you only have the assistant that isn't really set up to delegate, right?
Yes. Exactly. That was also the hard part. Like I didn't really have a way of delegating properly. right? Like again, it was just Slack. And I did have tasks in ClickUp, and sometimes I would try to add a task in there for them, but it wasn't the norm for us. He wouldn't really check it because he wasn't really required to.
Hmm.
So yeah, like there was not a lot of structure when it came to management of everything we had to get done on a day-to-day or weekly basis.
Yeah. Besides the kind of the outcome of course, having a central management system where you're able to now scale your business effortlessly, what would you say was kind of the most valuable part of the process that you maybe wouldn't have done if you would have done it on your own?
Well, for the most part, it's all the like I guess how it all works together, like the way you have the setup, like the everything view, it's just so well organized. It's so easy to kind of so easy to use it.
Hmm.
Right. Also the custom field, like how you properly plan. So I don't have like if you look at my ClickUp or the old ClickUp, I had like a at least 50 random custom fields that each space or each list like a different way of working. Now it's all organized, all working together. There's
Hmm.
no like confusion as to like where does this go or who is this for? It's
Hmm.
all very clean, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's yeah,
Everything as a home.
exactly. Everything as a whole.
Awesome. So like what have you noticed kind of improvements in your day-to-day since getting this set up? Like how are things going with the operations now?
It's just clear. Like I know what I need to work on, and I know if I need to add something to work on, like meaning I can see when my days are like very short. I've had days where I maybe have two tasks and I do those tasks. I'm okay, I'm done for the day, which sometimes that's good. It means that either I delegated tasks that should have been delegated, but it also can be like I'm not really doing enough or not focusing on the things that matter. So it kind of forces me to think ahead, okay, like what is the next big thing that my time should be going to? Right. So that's for one, like clarity is huge part. And that's something I was chasing for a while. Like, how can I have clarity in the business where I know who's working on what, what's getting done, what I need to work on, even how clients are doing, like all of that. It was a kind of a mess, right? I always had I was wasting a lot of hours getting that clarity for the business every week. Now it's just as simple as going to ClickUp and it's all there. Yeah. Clarity and again, organization, very clean, very organized. There's no going to 50 different places to find what you need to work on. It's all in ClickUp. Like you said before, everything has a home. So
Yeah. Yeah. How are you finding now? Because before we started working together, you said you only used it for really onboarding clients, and then after that, you're like, you know what, we'll figure it out. You know, we'll use Slack. It's like, how are you finding that both onboarding new clients and onboarding new team members to the business?
onboarding new clients, it's easier like now because by having ClickUp more organized, I was able to even improve what we had before. And as you know, like I worked very hard on the onboarding process for the agency.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good before, but now it's even better
Hmm.
based on the way we're taking in the information from the clients, where it's going, how the team finds it. So that's definitely been very helpful. And when it comes to actually delivering things for clients and doing tasks for just day-to-day stuff, not just onboarding, it's also extremely helpful to have, okay, like this is the deliverable, there's a thing we need to achieve for the client, and the team has all those subtasks that need to get done to get that done, right, at some point.
Hmm.
So before, again, it was just, hey, can you fix these ads? Or hey, can you add an ad about this?
Hmm.
And that was it. Now it's a lot more structured, a lot more clear. So I'm never wondering, oh, did they do this? Was this work done? Do we need anything else? Like it's again, clarity, right? It's all
Right.
there.
Yeah. No, I think you touched on something really important there where it's like knowing what they need to get done, but also for you to be able to easily see what they're doing. And I think that's where before you'd have to dig through all the different lists and tasks and see what's going
Exactly.
on. But now we actually have those dashboards that are giving you that high level visibility and also helping you keep it clean, right? Because I don't want people to think like, you know, you work with me and your ClickUp's going to be pristine. It's like a house, you know, like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you gotta still clean the house even if you just bought a house. It doesn't just keep itself clean. We try to make it as easy as possible to use, but at the end of the day, you still have to use it and maintain it for it to be valuable.
Yeah, and I mean, you make it easy. Like you have like this champion or dashboard view where what I do now is every Friday I take 10 minutes and I just clean it up. But and again, it's quick, but it makes sure that nothing ever becomes a mess where tasks aren't scheduled for anything or there's no assignee and stuff like that, which is very helpful. Before I had I don't know if you remember, I had like a list for content, for example. I had like 50 or more content ideas that I had to get done, but they were just, they were just there. I had no reason to go back and check or schedule stuff.
Right.
So it would just fall through the cracks and they would never get used.
Right.
So the same for any other tasks, right? I go in there and I can see, okay, I need to schedule this. I need to assign this task because it's just sitting there, um, and make sure it's all nice and titty.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess what was kind of the thought process of picking to work with me specifically in this case?
Well, I knew you had experience with ClickUp. We had spoken before, so I knew like you were good at what you did and that you had the experience that I could trust you to get it done right. And yeah, like and when we hopped on that call, you kind of gave me a lot of good guidance, and I knew you were good at what you did. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go find someone else. Like, there's no need for that.
Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. So I guess if someone's like running an agency, but they're not using a project management system, they're trying to do everything on Slack or spreadsheets, what would you tell them?
Start using a project management tool, right? Like it's probably, even if it doesn't seem like it, it's probably the thing that will help you gain a lot of clarity about for the business and just allow you to start growing it without stress. Because as you grow the agency, stress is a natural, you know, second order consequence. Like you grow the agency, you're gonna get stressed. And the main reason that happens is because you're growing without being ready for growth, which isn't necessarily bad, but it causes problems down the line, right? That's what
Right.
happened for me a lot where I was growing. I wasn't ready for growth. Things would break. And I would fix it and then grow again and then break.
Yes.
So so now that I have this whole project management, like this system set up, I trust that if I signed 5 clients tomorrow, the system is there. I know how to manage the clients. I know where tasks are going. I can make sure things are getting done. There's no delays. And the only bottleneck is going to be probably maybe I need to hire someone else because there's too many tasks, right?
Right. Exactly. I think that's something huge too that people don't realize is this gives you so much visibility as to what the workload is, so you know when you need to hire.
Exactly.
Because people are like, oh, maybe I should hire, maybe I shouldn't. And all they're looking at is like maybe top line revenue or profit
Mhm.
and trying to decide from that when it's like, do we even have, work coming up and how much work do we actually have? And then same with knowing what the team's actually doing. Most people bring people on and they have no clue what people are getting done. This is very black and white. It's like, okay, this person completed these tasks this week. We brought in those end of day forms, right? That's huge
Mhm.
too for
Yeah.
people to say my workload's too much or my workload's too little and just giving you that pulse check on if you need to bring more people in. So I think there's so many like secondary benefits besides just being organized that people don't think about. It's like if you don't have the organization, you're never going to get the secondary benefits though.
Literally. Yeah.
That's what it is, right? So
Yeah.
people need to realize they actually need to invest in our operations in order to feel comfortable with going to the next level.
Yeah. Like it's, I think it's literally even if you don't realize it's probably a huge bottleneck as you grow. You
Yeah.
may think, oh, I have this spreadsheet or Slack is working just fine, but it won't work just fine in like a month, right?
Yeah.
And then
Right.
things will break and you'll get stuck and you'll have to go back to grow again. And it just leads to a mess. So it makes sense to invest in it early. Maybe not when you're at 0,
No.
but when you're at 10, 15K, it's probably the ideal spot because that just where it's going to help you get positioned to the point where you don't need to run around everywhere to get things done.
Yeah. And it forces you to clarify your processes. If
Yes.
you don't
Yeah.
have processes in place already and you're trying to keep growing and keep selling things and want to bring team members on, well, ClickUp won't be effective unless you do that,
Yeah.
right? Because people
Exactly.
think it's like, oh, I'll just buy the tool. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So if someone was on the fence about working with us, what would you tell them?
To just do it. Like,
Yeah.
what's the reason you're on the fence? It's either going to be maybe a financial reason,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, I doubt it. But if it's a financial reason, like the cost is so much bigger.
That you
The
don't
cost of
see.
not doing it is so much bigger than the cost of doing it, right? Especially like in the long term. Like you will have to do it. If not today, you will have to do it soon,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Or like people who want to maybe like do it themselves. Why would you recommend against that, I guess, because you were exploring that option right initially. What would you say?
I was exploring it mainly because I consider myself a technical person. I like systems and I like tools and tech and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, I still don't know anywhere near as much as you do about all this stuff, right? So if
Hmm.
I had done it on my own, maybe it would have worked, but I probably still would have had to hire someone down the line to make it better for me, right? So I would have wasted all that time doing it myself and then still, have to hire someone to do it. So doesn't make a lot of sense. If you think further out enough, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it yourself.
Right. No, totally understand and 100% agree. Where it's like, you go that do it yourself route, but you mentioned last time we talked, like, I don't even know what to look for.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like I don't even know if this is good. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I'm not
Yeah.
really sure. Yeah.
Exactly. And also you work with a lot of other businesses, so you kind of have an idea on what works for what business or for whatever goal a person has. And again, for me, like I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know where to start because I don't know for myself what the best route is. But since you have worked with multiple people, multiple scenarios, you kind of can see at what I need and say, okay, this is probably what's going to work best for you.
You're right.
Right. So I don't need to worry about making the wrong decision there.
A sense. I guess one last question, Henry, if there's anything else you wanted to kind of share about working with me, working with Probotify.
It's a pretty good experience, pretty fun in my opinion, just because you get to learn a lot about your own business as things get done. And then, yeah, it will take a little bit to get used to, but it's not very difficult to get used to. You just have to start using the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely worth it. If you're like on the fence about it, like it's 100% worth it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a mindset shift. I don't want to tell people, oh, you just bring me in, I click a few buttons and you have a system.
Yeah.
It's like, no, part of the process we do is also getting you to adopt the system and helping you and your team build those good habits, because if you don't have those, then, there's no point in even doing this. So
Exactly. Yeah. Of
awesome. Well, thank you very much, Henry, for your time, and we'll talk soon.
course.